are the glue between the clients and the developers
Pretty much.
creating the code. And anything that's client facing, you're involved in.
Yeah, everything. Yes, I'm the front line for our projects in our company.
Welcome back to the show. Here we're going to look at helping your ColdFusion team find flow, 7 keys to project management success. And I'm here with Christine Ballisty. I'm saying your last name right because I didn't practice it before I started, and I should have done. And we're going to look at the role of a modern project manager on ColdFusion and Mura projects, the hats you might wear as a project manager, and what is flow and why is it so important today for you and your team. And we'll go through 7 keys she has for success in your projects. So welcome, Christine.
Thank you.
And in case you don't know her, she is the senior project manager at Blue River and oversees mega Mura CMS ColdFusion projects and keeps them meticulously on track and in budget. So a genius there.
I try.
And looking, yes. And she is going to be speaking on this topic at MuraCon in just 3 days, I think, right? Or 4 days?
That's right.
A few days. So
correct.
Very exciting. And we'll talk a bit more about MuraCon later in the episode. But we're going to look at those different things. And let's just start off with, how do you see the role of a digital project manager? I'm kind of curious why you call yourself a digital project manager.
Yeah, so the reason why we've been using the label as digital project manager is because all the projects I manage are digital projects. They're websites, they're applications on the back end, they're intranets, things like that. They're not construction projects or projects where you have a tangible product that you can hand out at the end of the life cycle. It's all digital based.
And how does that affect what you do?
Well, for me, it doesn't have too much of an impact because that's my specialty is managing digital projects. My specialty is in managing custom application development along with websites and intranets. And so for me, having that moniker of a digital project manager is pretty much a perfect fit.
And then what exactly do you see as your role in that?
Yeah, so in my role at Blue River, I'm within the professional services department, and I particularly wear many hats. I'm not only a project manager in the traditional sense where I manage a timeline and I check on budget and I make sure that people are taking tasks off their list, but I'm also a business analyst where I have to conceptualize applications and dive deep into requirements and create spec docs and maybe even help out with wireframing. I am an account manager where I'm interfacing with clients, checking in, making sure they're happy and pleased with our work. And I'm also a support representative. So after our projects are complete, we don't just abandon our clients, we maintain a relationship with them and help support them throughout the future of the application to make sure that it continues functioning properly.
So basically you are the glue between the clients and the developers
pretty much
creating the code. And anything that's client facing, you're involved in.
Yeah, everything. Yes, I'm the front line for our projects in our company. So
when you said you do business analysis, is that a lot of your role, figuring out what the requirements are, or and making sure the scope doesn't change during a project, or that's dealt with correctly? Or?
It is for me because I have a background in web development, actually. And so that's what I went to college for. I was a front-end developer for many years, and I have kind of that technical experience on how things are built. And so I'm able to, again, be that front line and that first line where I'm helping scope things out. I can technically understand how things need to be built, and I can articulate that in a written form to then translate to my team. So for me, that is a hat that I definitely wear.
And do you find you almost have to speak a different language when you're talking with clients versus with the developers you work with, or?
Yeah, definitely. With clients, the majority of the time they're either marketing department based. They may not necessarily be technical people. And so, I have to make sure that my language is used in an understandable way to them. Imagery helps a lot. People are visual based creatures. And so having wireframes and designs are always very helpful. And then, of course, when I talk with my dev team, it can be very technical, and we'll whiteboard and sketch things out. And so, yeah, I definitely speak differently depending on my audience.
And then you mentioned you're an account manager. What does that exactly mean?
Yeah, so for me, it means making sure there's always a positive relationship, a business relationship. So it means communicating constantly with my clients. It means checking in with them to make sure that they're happy even after a project is closed. And it means even thinking ahead to see what are some enhancements that they may benefit from that we may have done on another project that could benefit them, and introduce that to them. It really just means maintaining a business relationship and keeping that open line of communication at all times.
So somewhat of a sales hat, in effect.
Yeah, kind of. I do a little bit of business development too, actually. So yeah, it's definitely kind of salesy sometimes.
Well, this is a lot of hats you wear.
Yep. Definitely.
So, yeah. So how do you avoid getting stressed out with so many hats and being responsible for such big projects?
Yeah, so I have 7 keys to success that I try to implement into my work and with my team. I definitely try to work smart as opposed to multitask. And I found that these 7 keys that I have implemented work really well for me and my team. Of course, it's an evolution and a constant process to evaluate what works for you and adjust as needed. But these are things that I have found work really well and help mitigate stress in our organization.
Now, you mentioned when we were talking earlier that you like to have a state of flow, both for yourself and for your team.
Yes.
Why is that so important today?
Yeah, again, because we all wear many hats. We all have a lot going on. Work never ends. We joke about the spin cycle here at Blue River and how work just never ends. And that's actually a good thing because we're an agency and we need, work to never end. But having flow is really important for us because having flow makes sure that we're productive, efficient, and happy. And it's a really great philosophy that we've embraced over the last year as an organization. And it's very simple. It's characterized as complete absorption in whatever it is you're doing. And it results in a loss of your space and time when you're in that moment. It's often referred to as being in the zone. So I'm sure you're pretty familiar with it. When you're in the zone and there's nothing else in your way, you're experiencing flow. And for us, it's super, super efficient and productive and profitable.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think everyone who's ever been a developer or really any task where you just have to concentrate and juggle a lot of thoughts in your head in order to be able to solve the problems knows that if you're interrupted, it can take 10, 15 minutes to get back into that state of flow. And
definitely.
So having that you as the project manager is supporting your team and stay in a state of flow means that they can be more productive and less stressed out about it. So, and is that part of your role to kind of protect them from interruptions? Or?
Yeah, it is. I mean, at the end of the day, our clients and our projects are the queen, as I call it, where they rule the roost, right? Whenever they need, we solve that need as people working in the services industry. But I do try to prioritize and make sure that things are lined up in a way where my developers and my team can tackle those tasks in an efficient manner to where they're not bouncing around or juggling, because that definitely breaks flow for them.
So do you unplug their email at the beginning of the day or something? Or how do you do this?
Yeah, I wish. Well, going back to those 7 keys to success, my first one is to plan for everything. Literally plan for everything. And it's really built into my personality type to have everything kind of buttoned up and organized. It's also known as having a type A personality. And so I use a number of tools to make sure that my team has exactly what they need and they stay distraction free. We use a couple of different tools for task and project management, so they know exactly what they need to work on at what time. We use Slack for our team communication, and we have various bots and status controls built in to allow people to go distraction free and kind of go do not disturb so they can focus on what they need to do. And for us, it seems to be working very well.
Now, you mentioned that you use some PM tools. Can you tell us what tools you use and why you particularly like them?
Yeah, definitely. So the first two tools, well, actually the first main tool that I use is Google Calendar. I use that literally for everything in my life. I have color-coded calendars that serve different purposes, and so I'm able to organize things blocked off accordingly. And I love it. I literally put everything in it, whether it's my team's PTO, someone needs to go out of office periodically, my own out of office. If I need to block off dedicated time to work on something, I'll just block off a few hours in calendar. And that's my lifesaver, having calendar. Also, I use a tool called Liquid Planner for project management. Right now, I'm using that as my resource allocation and client schedule tool. So I feed in all of my team's availability, and then I feed in all of my projects. And it's a great tool that dynamically calculates due dates and completion dates and allocation of my team. So I'm able to find those gaps of when, for example, Evan might be free to work on a 1-week task. Oh, it's in about 20 days, so let me throttle that out to that day. It's a great tool, web-based, and I'm able to also create PDF exports of those timelines to then share with my clients, which they love because they always want to know, when's it going to be done? When's my due date? Things like that. I love that tool very much. And then I also use Trello, which is another web-based tool. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's really great because we can set up a board per project with all of our lists of tasks. And we can either break that out by phases or we can break it out by person. And then you have a card per task and you know exactly what you need to work on when. And it allows for some really nice real-time collaboration and organization of tasks. So those are my 2 go-tos for sure.
Well, and the other thing I love with Trello is just you can drag things between different statuses.
Yeah, it's so nice. So. It's just really user-friendly. Everybody loves it here.
Yeah. So you then also mentioned that you use Slack with your ColdFusion and Miro developers.
Yes, definitely.
Now, I think there's kind of a love-hate relationship with Slack because it's so cool and it keeps things organized. On the other hand, it's constantly like beeping at you. You know?
Yes, definitely. So yeah, and for us, that's very true because we have a channel per project and we have various bots that do alerts for us and kind of take care of a lot of the legwork for us, but definitely can create a lot of noise sometimes. So we encourage muting channels. We encourage marking oneself as do not disturb. We even have this cool trick where you pick a red emoji from the emoji pack to indicate that you're busy and to not be disturbed. And then you can switch to a green emoji, like a turtle or a tree, to indicate that you're available and open to having a ping or a distraction. And so for us, that works really well because it's all visual based and I can see, oh, Matt's got a red circle on his. I know I need to wait until I ping him, things like that. And it works really well for us. Everyone uses it. We all have it on our phones too. So if we step out at lunch and an emergency message comes in, we're able to see it right away. So for us, it's a love-hate relationship a little bit too, but I think it's more love than hate.
Well, that's good. So you won't be breaking up with Slack this year.
No, we love it. Yeah.
And And then you mentioned some bots. Can you mention some of the particular bots you use, or?
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know if you've heard of If Then This or That. So I've set up a bot that chimes in at the end of the month, every month, to remind everyone to make sure all their time logging is up to date so that we can do invoicing. I have a bot set up for Trello. So when certain activities happen on cards, we get a bot that chimes in Slack to let us know. So for example, if a client comments on a card, we get a little notification in Slack, so we don't need to leave Trello open all the time. I also have bots set up for some levity in the office, announcing birthdays and anniversaries and vacation time, so people know what's going on in our office and can kind of spread some morale with some happy birthdays and share some Giphies and some other fun emojis like that. So those are some of the bots that we use.
Now, you mentioned morale there. Do you feel that's part of your role and a secret hat that you have?
Yes, that's definitely one of those keys to success, having fun. It might be, something that's considered an afterthought, but for us, it's very important to inject some fun in the workplace. It definitely boosts morale. We spend so many of our waking hours here together, so having fun is really important. And we do that by setting up quarterly team events. So we'll think of a fun thing to do, like go wine tasting or go hang out for dinner or something. We'll set up coffee dates, and we all have whiteboards in our offices, so we draw pictures on each other's whiteboards and leave little fun notes and things like that. And we also hang out outside of work together. We're all pretty close knit. It's a very family vibe here at Blue River. And so we'll go to baseball games together. We'll hang out after we have meetings with clients, things like that. And we try to really encourage creating friendships and bonds here at the workplace.
Now, you mentioned whiteboards. I'm kind of imagining that everyone has their own office with a whiteboard, or do you have one of those bullpen open plan?
Yeah,
things?
So right now we have a few people per office sharing. So it's kind of a nice little dorm room vibe, if you want to think of it that way. And in each office, there's a couple of whiteboards. And so I have 2 whiteboards in my office, for example. I think you can see one behind me. And so we'll just randomly go in each other's offices, and maybe we need to talk about a task or scope something out, and pull out a pen and just kind of start jotting and draw pictures and write quotes from the office and other fun things like that. So it just kind of naturally happens. We don't really think about it. All of a sudden you'll look and there's a turtle drawn on someone's whiteboard, So yeah, just kind of built into all our personalities, I think.
And how do you deal with, you've got remote people developing, helping out too. How do you involve them? Because they can't come for a coffee date. They can't draw on a whiteboard.
Yeah, I know. That's a really good point. So we try to set up, screen shares. We do daily stand-ups. I do a weekly team meeting where I make sure that everyone's included. And again, we'll do video chats where we, like what we're doing right now, and just kind of see each other's face. Blue River offers a really great remote working perk. So we'll have people come out here to headquarters and leverage a budget that Blue River allocates per employee and be able to actually hang out here in person. And then sometimes we'll just say, hey, go take the day off, do what you need to do. Let's catch up on, Monday or whatever. So we definitely try to include our remote team in everything that we do here so they don't feel left out.
That is, I think, very important, because it's so easy for remote developers to just feel forgotten about.
Definitely.
Now, let's look at some of these other keys to project management success.
Okay.
I think the first one you had is practice gratitude, which sounds unusual for a web development company.
Yeah, definitely. Studies have shown that if you inject gratitude and compassion into the workplace, great things will happen, not only for yourself, but for your team around you. So spreading a little gratitude and making sure that you're kind to people, can really boost morale, can increase productivity, and get you into flow, right? That's the thing, that's like the glue about all of this, is finding flow. And kindness in particular is very overrated or underrated, excuse me. People don't pay attention to being kind, especially in the workplace. You think of being in the office as very transactional. I'm here, I need to do my job, get my paycheck, and I'm out. But if you inject a little kindness, maybe spend some time before you dive into a task, catching up with a coworker, maybe surprise them with a coffee, or go for a lunchtime walk together, and just show that you care and understand that person and where they're coming from, you'll find that you not only create flow, efficiency in the work, and profitability for the company, but you feel good as a person, and then they feel good, and you'll find that they then inject that kindness back to you. It's really simple, but it's really magical how it works.
That sounds really deep. I mean, it's so simple, but if you think of isn't there a TV show called The Office?
Uh-huh.
I don't think that's exactly overflowing with kindness or gratitude.
No.
More like grumpiness and complaining,
Yeah.
I think would be the...
Totally.
And those actually erode your ability to flow.
Definitely. And that's another one of my keys to success, is banishing the ego. And part of that includes that negative thinking and that stink bug that's on your shoulder, whispering in your ear, trying to inject decreased efficiency and negative behaviors and responses to things. If you focus on your end goal and what you're here for within the organization, and understand that you're not just a cog in the machine, you're a person who's contributing in a very positive way, soon you'll find that your soul is the thing that's flourishing, and that ego gets pushed aside. And it's really important. It does sound a little new agey, but it's really powerful.
Now, that sounds easy to say, to banish complaining and negative thinking. How do you actually achieve that, particularly when you're in a stressful thing in a development team? Clients have exciting emergencies, bugs happen,
Totally. Well, there's a couple of ways that we can handle that. One is by determining what tasks are actually priorities versus pressing matters. So for me as a project manager, I work in an agency. Literally everything I do is pressing. Everything I do needs to get done as soon as possible, because there's more work coming in right behind me. But it's my job to determine what's actually a priority and escalate that as necessary. So taking a step back and assessing the work around you can definitely kind of create a sense of calmness in the process. Additionally, what I found that really works for me and my team is focusing on solutions and the end goal. It's so easy to complain about a task and say, well, I don't want to do that. But if you focus on what the end goal is and what that shared responsibility is in the organization, you'll find that you can quickly find a solution which ends up becoming something positive in that stressful moment, and it mitigates the stress.
I think those are great tips. I mean, I think also it's asking myself, what would it take to make this task more fun?
Yeah.
Sometimes even the most mundane kind of things can be made fun by listening to the right music. Or
definitely. I definitely listen to music a lot at work, especially when I'm knee deep in writing a spec doc that might seem very dry and boring. I'll get these headphones in and I'll put some electronic dance music on, something kind of melodic in the background, and it just helps me get into the flow right away. It's really something.
Do you have a favorite track or album or artist you can share that really helps you?
So I really love Above and Beyond. They're a UK-based electronic group. They're producers and artists, and they're amazing. I highly recommend you check them out.
Yeah, I have some of their albums. So.
Oh, great. Oh, we're going to be best friends.
Yay, there you go. The other thing I do for music, I use a site called brain.fm, and that plays kind of electronic music. But it's kind of, I can't quite explain it, but they play slightly different music in each ear. And then inside your brain, it creates different states. And one of their states is focus, which is what I use when I need to focus. And then instead of me having that like hamster brain that wants to check Facebook, check the email, oh, what's happening here? Oh,
right.
I can just focus on the task I have to do. So
totally. Yeah, that's great. I'll have to check that out. I love Spotify. For me, it's really great. I can put in an artist and it'll play music that's similar to that artist. So that's really helpful for me. But that site sounds great. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. And I would personally, for me, when I'm doing something like writing code or having to focus on things, I don't want words in the music. And it's interesting you said that was electronic music. It doesn't have a lyrics going on.
There's some genres of EDM that has vocals, which can be distracting at times. So I definitely try to pick artists that are a little more melodic. J-Tech is another example. He's from Australia. Really, really great music.
I will check him out. Thanks for the tip on that. And I think we
actually
need to have a
monthly podcast that's really great, and it's free. So
I just want to recommend to listeners, you know, maybe that's a great discussion to have in your company on your internal Slack channel. You know, what music helps you work, you know?
Yeah.
That can be a fun thing to share. Now, the next thing you mentioned is your key. I think we're not on the, oh, bless you. We're on the third key is, and how appropriate you're coughing, because it says health is wealth.
Yes, that was perfect. I timed that for you. Perfect. Yes, health is wealth. So, you know, when you get on a plane and you hear the flight attendant say, put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. And that's very important in every facet of life. If you don't take care of yourself first, whether that's in love, at the workplace, with your health, you're in no position to help other people. So making sure that you are in tip-top shape is really important. And you can accomplish that in many ways by blocking time off in your calendar for you. Go get a massage at lunch, or maybe do some trip planning. You know, try to find something fun to do on the weekend. Go get a gelato, you know, at lunch. Something that is like self-care for yourself. It's so important. And you'll find that you feel better and you can work better and you can interact with your colleagues and your clients better. But that's only one part of the coin. The other part of the coin is making sure that your team is taken care of too. Again, going back to positivity and having relationships with your colleagues, you want to spread kindness and spend time with those colleagues to show them that you care and that their health is important as well. So one thing that we do here is we go on a lunchtime walk, a few of us. We do a quick 20-minute loop around the office and we chat. And sometimes we vent and get it all out of our system, but it works really well for us. Again, I'll surprise my team sometimes with coffee, or I'll take the project manager on my team out for a smoothie and ask him how he's doing, and just connect on a personal level with them. And you can, if you find common ground between each other, you will find flow and health and productivity, and your work will be so satisfying.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to stay positive and stay out of the ego if you're feeling sick, you know?
Yeah. If you're not feeling well, it spreads.
Yeah. And which is a good reason to stay home if you're feeling sick until you're feeling healthy and happy. Or at least take a nap or something. Which makes me wonder, do you do anything with sleep? Because I know a lot of people are challenged in that sleep department.
Yeah, so I usually have a lot of trouble with sleep. I tend to not be able to turn my brain off, which can be really frustrating because if I don't have enough hours of sleep, I'm usually a mess. And so I've really embraced essential oils lately myself. I have a little diffuser next to my bed on the nightstand, and I'll put in a few drops of lavender or some other sort of relaxing blend. And it really helps calm my brain down so that I can have a restful sleep. The other thing I try to do is stay off my phone as much as I can when I'm in bed. That's pretty difficult. I have to confess, I love playing some games on my phone before I go to bed. But I have found that if I don't go on my phone and I've got my little diffuser going, it just puts me into that restful sleep so much quicker. Another cool thing that I do is on my phone, I have this white noise app. And I turn that on and it's like the sound of like a whirring fan, or maybe the sound of some rain, or an airplane sound. And it really helps kind of relax my mind and help me fall asleep.
Yeah, those are great tips. I mean, I just have a rule. My phone does not enter the bedroom.
Oh,
It just
that's
doesn't have
nice.
permission, you know? So,
Love it.
and if I want to, I do play. Sometimes I'll play. I don't use white noise, but you know, I have actually bought an iPod because it doesn't have all those games.
Oh yeah.
And notifications and all that stuff, but it can play any of those white noise, rain,
right,
music that I want, or meditations or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's one tip. And then I have a tendency to read in bed, which is my like.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
I know. I've been so bad about reading.
Yeah, so I made an agreement with myself. Okay, I can read on the sofa, but no reading in bed. And that when I follow that, I don't always follow it, but when I do follow it, that really helps. So, and then my other little sleep secret is melatonin, which you can just get at
I love melatonin.
Supermarket.
Yes.
Yeah, and that helps me go to sleep quicker, and it helps me sleep deeper and not wake up in the middle of the night, and then I feel great, you know, the next day. And
yeah, so, I love it.
And it's just in the vitamin section in the supermarket, so you know.
Cool.
But and so is that something that you discuss at work and help teammates with? Because a lot of developers have issues with sleep, I know. So
yeah, I have shared the whole diffuser with essential oils with some of my team. I am the only girl in my company, so so they tend to find their own solutions. I think they do love their video games, and for some of the guys that really does help them relax. So we're all different and things work differently for each of us. But we do talk about, like I said, we're all friends and we hang out outside of work. So we do talk about all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And do you think that helps the team to work better if their health is good, or
they
definitely code better?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I don't imagine you've necessarily done this, but I'm just imagining if you kind of tracked if people self-graded how healthy they were on a scale of 0 to 10, you know, and then you compared how many bugs they created each day. I wondered if the two would be strongly correlated, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. We're really fortunate at Blue River where they promote working from home a lot. Our bosses are extremely generous and they really promote that whole work-life balance thing. So if you're not feeling well, you have the total authority to stay home and work from home. You know, as long as you're online on Slack and reachable in some way, you don't have to be in the office. And for us, that has actually added a lot of flow for the team to be able to, you know, if I need to go heads down, I'll just stay at home, and, you know, it helps mitigate those distractions. And if I'm not feeling well and I just want to be in my pajamas all day working, I can do that too.
That is a great thing to have. You know, I think the ability to, and it means if you've got responsibilities at home, like you've got a plumber coming or your kids are sick or whatever the thing is, you can deal with that and still get a good day's work in. So
exactly.
Plus there's that whole commuting thing that you avoid.
Yeah.
So now the next thing you have as your, you know, 7 keys to successful ColdFusion teams is set and shape expectations. Tell us why that's a key for you.
Yeah. Obviously you want to make sure that expectations fall in line with reality, right? So let's say you have a client that comes to you, you know, I need this new website with all these integrations and APIs, and it's a new design, and I'm going to give you all new content. And can you do that in 6 weeks for me? I mean, that's just crazy, right? So setting an expectation and shaping it throughout the life cycle of a project is super important. It reduces miscommunications and misunderstandings. It just sets a framework of how you want to communicate with people and how those people will end up communicating with you. So for me, I find it very beneficial. When I do a weekly status call with my clients, I send them an Evernote recap of the meeting. And they have exactly what we went over. What are those open action items? What are our next steps? Obviously, we'll have a timeline update in there as well, sometimes a budget update. And that's kind of our glue moving forward into the next week. And for me, when I send that out, and my clients love it. And sometimes I'll forget to send it out, or it'll be a few hours until I send it out because I'm so busy. And they email me, hey, where's the Evernote? Can I get a copy of the Evernote? And it's just really funny because I've ended up training my clients in a way to expect this, but it's a good expectation because it has set the tone. There's no misunderstandings. Everything's right there in black and white, and it's just very clear. And so for me, that works very well. Starting off by listening can be so powerful. You know, we're all very smart people. Developers are geniuses in their own ways. They create amazing things on a daily basis. But if you take a step back and listen and process what someone is telling you, you're able to then communicate back in an effective way to them. You know, if I understand you said this, and document that and understand what the shared goal is, you can continually, you know, shape the expectation of what the relationship is going to be like. And that creates flow for everyone, even your clients. So it's really powerful.
How do you see that creating flow for your clients?
Well, in a way, it goes back to how I've trained them, right? So they now know that there's an Evernote coming that has everything they need to know in it. And so for them, they can take that document and use that in their work if they need to escalate it to their manager with their status updates. Hey, John, our project is on track. It's, you know, X, Y, and Z. They have this, you know, living, breathing thing that contributes to their own, you know, efficiency and productivity. And it works. It really works for us.
So they and you are less anxious, it sounds like.
Totally. I have seen less frantic emails coming through because they know the Evernote's coming. And it's really great for us.
That is great. And the reason I mention anxiety is because that's something that will destroy flow. If people are feeling anxious, it's so hard to focus on our work and get in that flow state. So, so the final seventh key is choose your battles. Now, tell us about that.
So, yeah, choose your battles because they do come up. There's no avoiding a battle or a fight, but you can choose which ones you respond to. And you should always, again, go back to focusing on that end goal. So for me and my team, we try to focus on the end goal. We try to find solutions. We try to not inject emotion and, you know, stress into the things that we're trying to accomplish for our company. Of course, that's easier said than done. For example, a few years back, a colleague and I were, you know, lightly arguing about providing database access for a contractor who was going to be working on this major piece of a project for us. And bottom line, he needed that access. But my developer was trying to put his foot down saying, no, I'm not going to give him that. That's not what we do here. And there was pretty much no way he was going to change my mind. And he got so upset, he stormed out of our office, kicking the door in the process and breaking the door. And it was really awkward because we were in an open floor plan and all the other guys saw what happened and it was a little uncomfortable. But, you know, I didn't inject any emotion. I didn't argue back. I just stuck with the facts and told him, look, this is what we need to do. You need to make it happen, you know? And so by focusing on the end goal and choosing what you're going to respond to, can, of course, create flow and, you know, again, mitigate stress and all that good stuff. So you need to make sure that you're aware of what's going on around you and respond accordingly.
Were you still talking with the developer the next day, or?
Yeah, it was Like I said, it was a light argument because, we were back to normal the next morning.
If that's a light argument, Christine, what are heavy arguments like? I'm a little concerned.
Oh, man. I don't know if we've ever had a heavy argument. We've had a couple yelling matches where our boss had to step in and say, both of you guys be quiet. But that's about the extent of it. We all, for the most part, get along really well here.
And then when you say choose your battles, that kind of implies that there are some battles you just have to let go and not argue.
Definitely. I mean, again, going back to banishing that ego, right? Some things are just not worth fighting over. If your UX director, for example, really wants the menu designed in this way and you're not feeling it, just let it go. He's the expert. We can see what the client thinks. Let's deal with something else bigger and more important, So yeah, sometimes you just have to let stuff go. And I like to remind myself that it's just a website. It's not Elon's rocket going up into space, so it'll be okay.
That is a good way to think about it. Have some perspective,
Yeah, totally.
So I really appreciate you sharing all about your 7 keys to project management success and how to have your ColdFusion team find flow. I want to switch to some different questions now.
Okay.
First one is, why are you proud to work with Mura and ColdFusion?
Yeah, great question. Mura is a consistent and flexible application. Obviously, I have a little bias being that Blue River created Mura, so, don't tell. I'm a little biased. But I think it's a great content management system. Our clients love it. They rave about how friendly it is and easy it is. And so for us, it's always the foundation of whatever it is that we're building. We start with Mura and we extend it as we need to for our clients. And because it's so powerful and flexible, it's very easy for the dev team to do so. So for me, that's what I really love about it. And ColdFusion in general, I mean, it's a very reliable framework. It's been around for a long time, as a markup language, and our team is all very well versed in ColdFusion. And so for us, it's just kind of like breathing the air, that's just what we do here. We write in ColdFusion and we use Mura.
So, as you probably know, some people have been under the impression that ColdFusion is dying, which actually the statistics from Adobe and other things show is not true. But my question to you is, what would it take to make ColdFusion even more alive this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually had the pleasure of attending a few ColdFusion conferences, given that my team goes to them and I'm able to kind of tag along sometimes. For example, I went to CF Objective last year, as well as the Adobe ColdFusion Summit. And it's really powerful seeing how many people are there and how many people love ColdFusion. And in my opinion, I mean, I'm not a developer, I'm just a project manager, but seeing the visibility of ColdFusion within the community is just so great. And for me, I would love to see more of that. It was a little bit of a bummer to see that CF Objectives taking this year off, but they're doing such a great job of promoting Into the Box and MiraCon. And so there's this really great sense of community. And I would personally love to see even more conferences pop up. I know my team loves going to them. They learn so much. And we even have a rule that when you go to a conference, you have to come back and present what you've learned. And so it's great seeing those presentations and, seeing the passion come through. So
I love that rule, because not only does that share the enthusiasm and knowledge, it also helps people grow in their presentation skills. So
definitely, yeah.
And I noticed that at MiraCon, probably half the speakers are Blue River staff. So obviously it's working.
Yeah, they love presenting.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I started the CF Alive podcast was just to show people how alive and modern ColdFusion can be as a language. So if anyone listening can't make it to a conference, please just listen to the podcast. At least you'll learn a whole bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you don't get to travel to exotic locations.
Right.
Assuming you call Washington, D.C. exotic.
Or Sacramento.
Or Sacramento, yes, in the case of MiraCon. So speaking of Miracon, what are you looking forward to this year at Miracon?
Yeah, so as always, I love seeing my developers, my team doing their presentations. There's this, ramp up these first couple of weeks where they're getting their presentations ready and they want to practice, so I get to hear all about it. But actually seeing them up on stage with the mic and, their deck up behind them, it's really exciting. Like you said, it's great professional growth, and having that visibility for our company is a wonderful thing. I love that our clients come to Miracon, and I get to hang out with them and see them. It's really exciting that a few of my clients that have been on Mira for a long time are still coming to our conference because they just want to see what's something new that's coming out and how can I do this. And it's just really refreshing to see people actually using the tool that we've built and the applications that we've created for them. And finally, we have just launched a new website for our company at blueriver.com. So we'll be showing that off, and quite a few people will have presentations about the website and how it was created. And so it's going to be really cool to see that in action and hopefully get some good positive feedback about our new site.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing that. And also, I'm excited that you've got 2 tracks at Miracon. There's the tech track, and then there's also a digital experience track that is more targeted to.
I will be presenting at the digital experience track on Friday, so it's really exciting.
Well, great luck with your presentation. If people want to find you online, what are the best ways to do that? So you can find me on Twitter at cballisty. And I'm also on LinkedIn if you search for Christine Ballisty. So I love to connect with people online. And if you're interested in seeing some of my photography, I'm on Instagram as well. So you can find me there. Fabulous. Well, we'll put all those links together with the resources and tools that we mentioned during the episode in the show notes, which can be found at TerraTech's website. And thanks so much for coming on the CF Alive podcast, Christine.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was really fun.